Hi everybody and welcome to the Heffy Doodle YouTube channel. This is Jordy from Jordy's Cards, and today I'm going to be showing you how to create an easy galaxy background for this fun Father's Day card. So if you are celebrating Father's Day today, I hope you're having a nice one and I hope you're enjoying it. We are going to start out with my spaced out stamps and coordinating dies, along with the Your Weird stamps and coordinating dies. Now these two sets are perfect for pairing up together. They work great together because they're obviously both space themed and they're just so cute and fun. Next up, I have the Moxie Alphabet dies, which I'm going to be using to create part of my sentiment, and the Brooke 3D box card dies, which just create a really fun and quite simple to put together interactive card. So I've gone ahead and cut my 3D box card from some Huckleberry cardstock, which is this lovely dark blue Heffy Doodle cardstock. And this is my route to an easy galaxy background. Rather than cutting the pieces from white cardstock and having to create a full galaxy, the dark blue part is already done for you. Just need to add some little details on top. So here I have some salvaged patina distress oxide ink, and I'm just blobbing that on in various places on my back panel and on my two side pieces. Now, I would recommend using distress oxides because they do sit on top of the cardstock. Other inks might sink into the cardstock a little bit, so you'll lose that color, but this one works perfectly and the lighter color shows up on that dark cardstock. Next up, I have some Yeti white pigment ink. This is a lawn fawn ink, but again, you could use Picket Fence Distress Oxide ink or any white pigment ink you have. You could even leave the white off if you wanted to. I just add it because I feel like it adds just a little pop of color, but it wouldn't be necessary. That salvage patina kind of does enough for you. Once that is done, I will bring out my black soot Distress Oxide ink, and I'm just going to ink up all around the edges with this dark black color. Again, this makes all the other colors pop, and it really helps it look like a night background galaxy sky, and kind of creates the magic a little bit. I'm even going over some of those blobs that I've attached down with the lighter colors. It just kind of helps everything blend in and look nice and smooth. Once I am finished with this, I did do a little bit of inking just on the very front flap, sorry, I can't speak today, on the very front flap of my box card. But before I did that, I did go ahead and do some stamping of my sentiment. So I took the sentiment Love You to the Moon and Back, which comes from the Your Weird stamp set. I kind of masked off each piece and stamped it out so that I could get a longer sentiment rather than have it stacked. And I did that with some white heat embossing powder, which I then heat set with my heat tool. And now I'm just going over it just with that black soot Distress Oxide ink. If you get any ink on the sentiment, it doesn't matter. You can just rub it off with a dry paper towel and it comes up nice and bright white again. Right, here is where the magic happens for my galaxy background. I have this set of watercolor paints. It's just a cheap set that I got off Amazon, and it has this lovely kind of metallic white paint in it. Any white acrylic paint that you can water down or watercolor paint will work, or even just white ink that you can water down, and just splatter it all over the background to create this gorgeous galaxy look. So I like to do my splattering in an old Heffy Doodle box. This was one of the boxes that my lovely stamps came in, and I've repurposed it for my splattering so that I don't get splatters all over my desk. It's a great way to keep things nice and clean. And there you can see my galaxy background is complete. I've popped that off to the side to dry, and while it's drying, I've gone ahead and colored and cut out the images that I'm using today, as well as my little alphabet here. So I'm creating the word dad from that Moxie alphabet. I've cut it twice, or I've actually cut it 3 times from white cardstock, but I've colored one of those sets in with the same red Copic markers that I used for my spaceship. I like to coordinate my colors so that I don't have loads going on my card, and using my Copics to color in my little sentiment here is the perfect way of doing that. So what I'm doing is I'm layering my 2 white pieces, one on top of the other, and then I will go ahead and add my red pieces, but I'm going to slightly offset them so they get a bit of a drop shadow behind my letters. This is really going to help it pop and stand out against that dark blue background that I've created, and it's just going to add a little bit of extra fun to my card. So once that is done, all that is left is to start assembling everything together. So my background pieces are nice and dry now. I've left them off to the side there, and I've attached double-sided tape to my flap pieces, and I'm going to lay them together and pop them down. So make sure you have the straight edges along the bottom, so obviously your card can stand up, and those angled edges can go up towards the top. So this creates the back and sides of my box card, and then I have 3 flaps for the front. So obviously the one that has my sentiment is going to go right at the very front. So I'm going to remove the backing paper from the double-sided tape there, line that up right against the edge and along the bottom of my card. Next up, I'm going to put my middle flap piece in, just going to leave a little bit of space between that one and the front one, and then pop it slightly higher so that it's up towards the top edge of that angled side piece. And I'll do the same with this final third flap, just leaving a little bit of space in between each one, and also some space between the back piece as well. Once one side is attached, I just need to flip it over, line them all up, remove the backing paper from that double-sided tape on the right-hand side, and then I can flip that side panel over and pick up those pieces, and that is my box card created. It's so easy to do and such a fun card to create. So the reason I didn't ink up those 2 middle panel pieces is because my moon is going right at the very front of my card here. So I knew that it was going to cover those pieces up and I wouldn't need to worry too much about inking those. And I've just used some liquid glue to attach that down. So next up, I'm just laying out my dad's sentiment. I just want to make sure that my pieces are going to fit nicely there. And I can see that I've got plenty of room to pop my other little images up. But I want these guys to look like they're kind of floating around in space. So I'm using some Heffy Doodle acetate here to create little strips to hold them up from the card base so that they do kind of look like they're floating around. And I'm just using double-sided tape to attach these down. I will do that with all 3 of these little images, my astronaut, my rocket ship, and of course planet Earth. And I'm going to pop my astronaut into the middle of my 3 panels there and off to the left-hand side of my card. And I will do the opposite with the rocket ship. So the rocket ship is going to be off to the right-hand side of my moon here. And again, it's going to be into that center panel that I've created. I just wanted these to kind of look like they were on the same level. My Earth is going to be right in the very back panel, so it looks like it's further off in the distance. And that is the great thing about these box cards. You can create so much dimension and depth to your card and have things looking like they're further in the distance or closer to you. It's so much fun. So here's the last little piece I'm going to pop down there. Now the acetate piece that I cut was a little bit long, so I'm just trimming that off with my scissors. And once that is done, all that's left to do is to attach my dad sentiment down, which is going to go right at the very back, but it's going to pop out, as I say, because of those bright colors that I've used. And that nice drop shadow is really going to make it stand out against that dark galaxy background. I'm just using liquid glue to attach these letters down, and I'm kind of eyeballing it. You could, of course, measure it out, make sure you've got it all nicely centered, but I figured there was only 3 letters and it was relatively easy to put it together in the right placement. Once that was done, I decided I wanted to add a little bit of extra detail to these letters. So I pulled out my white Secura Jelly Roll pen here and just added some highlight detail to those letters. I should, of course, done this prior to attaching everything down, but you know, sometimes you forget, and it was fine to do it now. It worked perfectly. The only last thing, little finishing touch they've got is to attach this white panel to the back so that I can write my sentiment onto my card. This is part of the die set, so it creates this nice background piece that you can use, and it's just perfect for popping down onto this dark cardstock, so I've got somewhere to write my sentiment. And that is it. My card is complete. I hope you enjoyed this one today. I hope it helped you to create your own galaxy background, and I hope you'll try this technique out. Please do subscribe to our Heffy Doodle YouTube channel. Please give this one a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. And here are a couple of other videos that you might enjoy. Thank you so much for joining me today. Take care.